Meow, Huples cat. Stay tuned for an after-action report on my 25-kilometre bug out, which is 15.5 miles, as I did yesterday. So there's a few things came up I want to talk about. But first off, what about my shoes? I'm going to try these today. Not bright, so they're good for night time, and I haven't used them for a while, and they are decentish tread, and this is what you would call a trail running shoe. It's kind of a crossover shoe between a boot and a running shoe. This sort of thing I would definitely use. These are heavy though, so we'll see how they go today, because first off I'm going to have a little walk with Wolfie. Wolfie! Wolfie, walkies, Wolfie! Walkies! Look at the excitement. He's not excited because it's like nearly freezing and we had a tiny bit of snow last night, but I'll put his coat on. We got Wooly this. It's a nice little coat for him and it reminds him of America. So one of the things I used to always do when I used to run is the night before I'd have a bath and cut my toenails, and I didn't do that before this bug out, and you may not have time, but definitely the right toe needed to be cut. The toenail was too long. That was causing a slight bit of pressure on the shoe. Now there is no blisters. I've really never had blisters. I do think people should maybe consider carrying moleskin and a sterile needle if they have blisters. Bear in mind, a moleskin is going to actually make blistering more likely. What I would recommend is a piece of plastic film called Opsite. I've shown that before and I'll show that again now. But I have to get on with the walk. Why am I out walking the day after doing a long walk? Well, yesterday I took it easy and I had 2 Tylenol and 2 Advil, and that worked. Got a slight bit of tightness in my legs, a bit of soreness in my back, my arms are a bit sore. Get out the next day and do the same exercise but not as intense, and certainly for not as long. It actually helps recovery. My other major learning was keep it simple. If you're going to cook, consider why. It would have been much better for me in terms of weight and ease of doing this if I took a thermos of coffee rather than try to make my own coffee. So depending on what you're doing, mix and match your gear for the likely needs. Little Wolfie does enjoy his little turns and it gets me out of the house. One of the things is wind noise. There was quite a bit of wind noise yesterday. I wasn't really taking it into account. I need to get like a furry mouse and a remote thing. Not going to get that in the near future, so I'll have to make allowances for that. Overnight it did in fact snow. It's mostly gone now because it's about 3 degrees centigrade. Look at that curious little dog. Be like Wolfie, get out and about and sleep in between and eat in between. In Canada, where I am, I have water everywhere. I really didn't need to carry more than half a litre. So I didn't chafe, but I think I would have done if I carried on. And especially if it had been a little hotter and I was sweating more. I really do think you need to be applying Vaseline. And before the next stimulated bug out, I will actually show you where and how much. And having applied it, you want to reapply it about every 2 to 4 hours. It's very, very important. If you've ever chafed your butt crack whilst exercising, you'll know what I'm talking about. Once it's chafed, it's sore. The other thing I'd forgotten from my running is once you stop running, the temperature gets about 10 centigrade colder. And I'd walked reasonably comfortably with this coat open. I was able to do the coat up, I was able to put a woolly hat on. That was absolutely essential. Even so, I was borderline feeling a bit chilled, which led to the failure of the ferro rod, I think. You need to have more clothing available than you're using during the exercise. This is an abandoned lot. There used to be a really cute house there. It's gone. No sign of it's ever coming back. The other thing I did wrong was having the 2 cups of coffee. I really wanted them. I really enjoyed them. Coffee does have a diuretic effect, and I had to pee quite a bit after that. And if it had been hot and I was dehydrated, that wouldn't have been the best move. As it was, I had a ton of water left over, hardly used the water I had. My other learning from this is single-walled metal containers are promoted heavily because you can use them to boil water in. I guess they're heavy, and I will switch to plastic green type balls, I think, and maybe just carry the 1 metal one. Are we done, Wolfie? He's off, always sniffing for the smells. I've been here for 7 years. First time I ever noticed this. There's a gate into the back of the fire services training section. Again, in some SHTFs I might want to go in there, and that's an easy pop and an easy climb. Maybe not for Wilfred. Come on, Wilfred, let's go home. May have learned if this already knew. There's a lot of preppers online right now who are professional preppers, get huge amounts of money from both ad revenue and selling you products you don't need, and also people who are unemployed or retired. If you're in those categories, spending an hour planning a bug out, spending about 6 to 7 hours on the bug out, spending 4 or 5 hours editing it, pretty straightforward. Plus recovery time takes it out of you. Until a couple of years ago I was doing 2 full-time jobs. Right now I'm doing a full-time job and I'm trying to get ready for a house move. It's a little bit daft to be online saying if you don't do it you can't. If you're working fire services, for example, your schedule is pretty conducive to making videos and doing bug outs, isn't it? So those people out there who are attacking talking head preppers all the time who never show skills, they have a point. Why aren't they doing the skills? But remember, a lot of the people who are out there doing camping and skills are either doing it in their backyard or they're driving to a wilderness area and walking 10 to 20 feet from a car parking lot and setting up their equipment. They're not actually doing it. An example of somebody who's actually doing it is Andy from England, and his picture video quality is terrible because you know what? He's actually there at night camping in bad conditions.
Evening YouTube. Just waiting to come down then. Here we am, out on a wild camp, surrounded by rain, thunder, lightning, and it's all good fun. Me and Pembrokeshire. I'll put it this way, there we go. I'll just show you how dark it is. There we go, that's how dark it is. And that's the dark, and that's the thunder. Could have some lightning now. Hopefully not on us, but you never know, you look. Pretty mad.
It's long been a truth in survival that you don't need to eat anything for the first 24 hours or even drink a lot. And I think that's true. It will affect your performance the next day. I actually didn't eat anything at all before or during the entire thing, and I was fine. What I do know is if I'd had a little snack, I would have actually wanted more. It's actually easier to stay not eating than it is to eat a little and be hungry. So bear that in mind when you're spreading out your supplies. You might want to use a little bit of fasting in the early bit. I'd probably eat more calories than I was using the day before anyway. And I also had to go to the toilet twice for poops, and I did not video and did not show that because frankly it's something, if you have done it, you don't need to see a video on it. And if you haven't done it and you're a prepper, what? Get out there and have a poop in the forest. Figure out how to do it safely and cleanly and conveniently. It's a really important skill. When I first pooped ever outdoors that wasn't a toilet or a pit, it was in the middle of one of my first ultramarathon races. It was a 100-mile race and I only went 68 miles. And I was in agony for about half an hour, desperate to get to an aid station to have a poo. And the aid stations were 5 miles apart. So anyway, long story short, I hopped the fence, got out my Kleenex, which I was sanely and sensibly carrying, and had a poop. And it felt terrible before I did it. Once I did it, it was very liberating and very freeing. So maybe Freud was onto something. Certainly Wolfie would never hold back. So that's about all I have for you in terms of an after action report. It was just 25k, 15.5 miles. It wasn't cold, but okay conditions. I just wanted to do it just to prove a point about the amount of time and effort required to show this stuff, as opposed to just sitting down talking to it, and the fact that I really do need to up my physical level. As Team Foco said, I need to sharpen my stone. Certainly in the last 4 years, my weight has ballooned and I need to do something about it. Not so easy when you're working, not so easy when you're lazy, not so easy when you're 56, but I'm going to do it. This doesn't count with Wolfie, so when I deposit him at home, I'm going to walk out a mile to the bank to get some cash to pay for the dog sitter tonight, and then walk a mile back at a reasonably brisk pace of about 3 miles an hour. So have a great week, stay safe, give me a sub, give me a thumbs up, don't if you don't want to, give me a comment. What did I do badly wrong? I expect there'll be a ton of criticism about the fire video that's coming before this one, but you know what, it is what it is. I'm not pretending and not setting stuff up to give you an impression of what I'd like you to think about my skills or how easy or hard things are. Toodles. This was a Wolfie Terrier 2021 production.